Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Docs Huddle, your gateway to an in-depth connection between sports medicine and the latest events in sports, fantasy, and betting. Today's show is brought to you by the Health and Wellness Depot. Unlock the power of well-being. I'm Dr. Mikey B. With me, as always, CJ, the sports enthusiast, Dr. MJB, the legend. Gentlemen, welcome back. We're returning after a 1-week hiatus as we are in the off-season, but we got some good stuff to bring everyone today. How is everyone doing?
Yeah, excited about the show. I think it's going to be pretty interesting and difficult for some of you.
I'm looking forward to it. Well, let's just get it started. First and foremost, the NFL Combine. Guys, we're here. This is the first true exciting event in the NFL offseason. This is one that I care most about other than the draft in the offseason and free agency, of course, because I have the opportunity to work with a lot of these athletes, and they've been working their tails off, like just busting their asses since really January 2nd. And now the week of the Combine is this week. They've been doing interviews since earlier in the week. We have workouts starting tomorrow. And then from there, that'll conclude at the end of the day on Sunday. And then we have pro days, which will be occurring at each at different schools where the athletes can work out for different scouts there to further up their opportunity for the draft or becoming a drafted free agent.
Yeah, I think the Combine's a good opportunity to show guys skill sets in terms of their tests and measurements for certain things. My favorite part of the Combine is seeing the huge behemoths run the 40-yard dash. To see a guy who's 300 plus run a 4.7 is like absurd. It's absurdly good. So I'm like, I like seeing stuff like that.
Yeah, 40 is my favorite as well.
Listen, right, that starts tomorrow, right? We have defensive linemen and linebackers are going to be working out tomorrow. I'm not going to say who. I'm not going to mention the name, but we have an athlete with us in our program, defensive tackle. Earlier this week, clocked in running a 4.75.
See, that's what I'm talking about.
At defensive tackle, 4.75. I mean, that is unbelievable. Very exciting. Very, very exciting.
Dude, yeah. So then I ran a 4.7 in high school, man, and I used to think I was moving. I would not make it today.
No, I'm reminded of that every single day, believe me. And then we have defensive backs and tight ends on Friday. Saturdays, it's our favorite day. Let's just be honest. I mean, my favorite day. We got quarterbacks, wide receivers, running backs. We're all former wide receivers in this room. So we'd love to see that. And then offensive linemen on Sunday, which, each year I've been more and more intrigued by the offensive linemen on Sundays. I think that maybe it's because I'm a Giants fan and our offensive line is always in shambles and we need help. And so I'm always.
That is why, because I've over the last 5+ years, I've been excited about reading and looking at offensive linemen a lot more,
which is wild. It's just crazy. Well, listen, as a football fan, if you are a fan of the New York Giants, you've learned that you desperately need a good offensive line. So if these guys are not getting the job done, it doesn't matter who else you got. So
yeah, we're Carolina Panthers,
when you have that understanding, I think it makes it a little bit more intriguing for sure.
No, and to your point, Mike, I'm going to ignore that, Chris. To your point, Mike, even though I'm intrigued by the 40, I think the O-line, the test, the field drills are usually what I like to see the most from that perspective, like outside of watching guys run the 40, just because I get to see O-linemen's footwork and how they, get in and out of breaks and things like that. I think that's phenomenal because, man, we've seen guys with poor feet and we see how poorly that translates to the NFL. So that would be a good opportunity to see what O-linemen potentially have, higher ceilings because of their footwork.
I completely agree. Yeah. And the other one that I like to see, like Friday nights, which is going to be the defensive backs. Defensive backs running skill drills. You can really have an appreciation for the angles that they can take, right? Are they you get to see their hips, right? Yep. Where are we making the adjustments to make a break on the ball or make a break to adjust to a receiver's route? And I know that we don't have pads on and stuff, but you see it every year. Guys that are stiff in the hips, they're not going to be able to make that as quick of a change in direction as someone who does have good hips. So those are things I know I'm going to be looking for and looking at. And listen, the New York Giants, once again, desperately need a cornerback. So hopefully we can see some
Michael be looking at everything.
I'm tuned in for everything, man. I mean, we need this, we need that, we need that, we need this. So yeah, quite accurate there. So I wanted to ask you guys. Now we have a list of players who are not going to be competing physically. They went there for the interviews. This happens every year. Some big names, the two biggest names that opted out not due to medical reasons, right? We know that Abdul Carter, who's probably the best player in this draft coming out of Penn State, pass rusher. He played in that last playoff game that Penn State played in with the shoulder injury. So he's not going to be participating in any of the physical drills, positional or testing. But Shedeur Sanders and Ashton Jeanty, right? The number one running back in Ashton Jeanty, top 2 quarterback in Shedeur Sanders, not going to compete. They're only there for the interviews. What are your guys' thoughts on how this might play out? Does this affect them? Do you guys believe? Does it play in their favor? Do they need to be working out? I want your thoughts. I have my own, but I want to hear from you guys first.
Okay, I will chime in. So I think it doesn't impact Ashton Jeanty at all. I think he's a consensus number one running back.
That's easy.
I think it would hurt his stock if he doesn't perform as people expect him to. So if I'm Ashton Jeanty, it's the correct move. Like, you have nothing to
completely
prove.
agree.
We know you're a workhorse. You have nothing else to prove to anyone. And if there was any debate between you and another running back, then it would make sense. Shedeur, I'm surprised though, because
agreed,
you are not the consensus number one quarterback, and you can help elevate your stock. I don't see why you're not participating. It kind of doesn't make sense to me. Because the combine, even if he had a bad performance, dude, it's not a strong quarterback class, so it's not going to hurt your stock that drastically. But it can help improve it for sure, since you're competing with potentially Cam Ward for that top QB spot.
I think that, I mean, he's obviously competing with Cam Ward. I mean, for the most part, for the top spot, right? It's between the two of them, most likely. It is really strange that he wouldn't compete for that spot. I don't necessarily think it hurts his stock, but it's not going to help him get that number one spot. So I think if Cam Ward, for example, goes completely off in the combine, he's completely locked in as the number one quarterback, whereas Shedeur is almost not fighting for that spot. So he's almost like locking himself in as number 2.
Or he hopes that Cam doesn't produce well.
That's what I was saying. Or, he doesn't want to hurt his own stock and maybe jump.
But when I'm looking at this, and these guys are competing at the highest level, you want to control your own destiny.
Yep.
I wouldn't right. So if I'm looking at this, like, I don't want to rely on someone else to not perform as well. Like, I want to go out there and show that I'm the top guy. Now, my thing is, I like that Cam Ward is doing this, because I know there was a lot of backlash that he played in that bowl game for UM in the first half, and then so it's like here's my thing with the Cam Ward thing back on that. So for those of our listeners who don't know what I'm referring to, Cam Ward, the University of Miami quarterback, now top 2 with Shedeur Sanders as the top 2 prospects coming out in the NFL draft at quarterback. He played the first half of the University of Miami's bowl game just long enough to throw enough touchdowns to make the college football passing touchdown record. As soon as he made that record, he dipped and bailed and did not play the remainder of the game. I'm okay with athletes not playing in that final bowl game, but then you don't play in that final bowl game.
Correct.
If you're not going to play in that final bowl game, you're not going to play in that final bowl game.
Correct.
To go in there and play and be like, oh, I did what was good for me, and then absolutely bail right away, I thought it looked terrible.
So do you think that hurts his impact on draft?
Well, I think that he has no choice but to work out at the combine because of that. Do you disagree? I think he needs to show, and he has to have good interviews, and now he has to show they're like, oh, well, now he's opting out of this too. How many times are these guys going to be like, yeah, I'm just the best. I don't need to do this. Like Ashton Janty can do that. You can argue that he should have been the Heisman Trophy winner. He's pretty much the best running back of all time in college. And there's no one else close that can compete with him. Shedeur Sanders and Cam Ward would rank in the bottom of last year's top 7 quarterbacks coming out. So now you have they're the top 2 this year, but they're of the bottom last year. So when you're looking at the talent pool, I just think that he needs to prove himself to these teams that okay, I'm going to try to earn that top spot. I don't know. That's how I perceive it.
I think for me, him actually performing at the combine wouldn't hold as much weight to me. I think what holds more weight is him during the interview process.
Oh, so for sure.
When he gets asked that question, hey, you played the first half in this game for the record. Why didn't you finish it for your teammates? The response he gives tells me everything. I'm looking for a guy to have extreme ownership and own up to it. Hey, yeah, I went out there. I went for the record. Didn't play for it. Looking back at it now, I probably would have approached that different. If that's an answer that he gave similar to that, I'm all for it. If he's deflecting it,
make it a learning experience.
Yeah, if he's deflecting it, I don't care what he does on the field. I think that it stains his image prior to going into the draft, personally.
I mean, I can't speak for the GMs out there, but I agree with you. I mean, I think that then there's that other evil where we have to sit here and be like, well, now it's come to draft time. You had that information. You had that conversation in the interview. How heavy are you going to let that weigh on your decision to choose someone like maybe Shedeur, who just sat out of the combine, over him? Very difficult. I do not want to be a GM drafting a quarterback in this draft.
No, absolutely not.
I mean, I don't want. I personally, I don't like either scenario. There's no one that I'm like, this is my guy. I want this guy. This is the one, hands down. He's got it all on the field, off the field. This, that. You don't feel that.
But then I have a question for you. Why isn't Will Howard getting any of this recognition? I mean, I get it. He had a great coaching staff, great receivers, but there's something to be said for somebody who takes you to the national championship and wins the game, right? I don't even hear him being spoken about in the top 4 guys at QB, and I'm like, how is that? Am I missing something?
So it's very interesting that you said that. For me, I don't have an answer because I watched a lot of all college. I watch Big Ten football more than anything, then SEC, then Big 12 in that order, and then everything else. Oh, I'm sorry, no, that's a lie. The only ACC football I watch is UM, obviously, but I watch Big 10, SEC, ACC, then maybe Big 12. But the reason why I say that is I've watched a lot of his games, but I haven't sat down and watched a lot of the film to be like, okay, this is why he fell far back in the draft order, or what am I not seeing that others are seeing to make him fall back? I don't know. I will say that when I watched him play, he's a winner, but I'm not looking at him saying, oh man, this guy is going to just pick our team apart because of him. I'm thinking great offensive line, great weapons, great running backs, and then he can manage the game very well.
Yeah, I just want to chime in on one thing, going back to Cam Ward. He was previously interviewed, I don't know when, but his response to the question when asked about playing half of that bowl game, I want to know your opinion. His response was that the decision was made before the game that him and Emory Williams would be splitting time by the coaching staff. That's what his response was. So he said it's being predetermined by the coaching staff. I believe it's a deflecting to the. I think he's deflecting that, because if he really wanted to play, he would have said I'm playing. But what do you think?
Correct.
Yeah.
The fact that the game was close, man. That's my only thing. The game was close.
They didn't blow him out in the first half.
Or Miami.
If he plays, I get that.
Yeah, Miami was so far ahead that they decided to let him play, and then for some reason Iowa came back and ended up winning the game. That's okay. That's a whole different scenario. But the game was close. you could have. This is your last time playing, and for me, I look at it from the standpoint. Some of these guys are not going to the NFL. Some of these guys will never play football again professionally.
Most.
So yeah, so it's like the impact we had this year is a phenomenal season Miami hasn't had in for so long. I want to go out on top. I want to go out giving my best and giving my all. I get it. It's hard because I do understand it from the standpoint you don't want to get injured. You don't want to risk yourself, but then don't play at all.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Then you just don't play at all. And that's why I'm okay with guys not playing at all because they have millions of dollars on the line coming out. That's fine. But you played, dude.
You played. Or an individual record at that.
Right. So if you're going to play for that individual record, fine, but finish for your team.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just don't think I don't like how that transpired, to be honest with you. But anyway, there'll be plenty more for us to discuss on the draft prospects we're going to be doing in the upcoming weeks. You know, as we get slowly closer, we're going to have free agency, right? Once the start of the new NFL year begins next month, which, believe it or not, is next week is next month. Isn't that crazy? Next week is March, right? So, and then from free agency, then we're going to go into heavy duty draft prep, watching our film. We'll have a lot more insight on these guys as it gets closer. And next week, we'll be sure to discuss some of what we see this weekend during the NFL Combine. I'm looking forward to reviewing that. Hopefully, we see some good things, some big flashes. I don't think that the 40 is going to get broken. That record is not getting broken again this year. I think it stands. But what do I know? We'll see. Let's move on. Free agent veteran quarterbacks.
All right, yeah. So have a segment going over the top free. Well, free agent is a loose term, but the top veteran quarterbacks, because we got a few quarterbacks on the list that are potential trade prospects.
Good point. Very good point.
Number one, we want to start it off with who I think is one of the most exciting players right now to talk about in Matthew Stafford. I'm going to start with Mike on this. We were kind of talking a little bit offline, but I want to see where your head's at and what do you think? I know there's a lot of rumors, what's true, what's not, but we know what you want to happen. What do you think is going to happen?
Me, Mike, or that Mike?
You, Mike. That's MJB. MJB to me. You.
Fair enough. So, yeah. So, for anyone who has watched this show in the past, especially leading into this past year when we did our predictions on teams, I was very high on the Rams and very high on Matthew Stafford. That everyone that's part of the show knows I'm a huge Matthew Stafford fan. I think he's unbelievable. Listen, I was ecstatic when I read that today at the NFL Combine, the New York Giants personnel were communicating with Matthew Stafford's representation. Do I think it's going to happen? Quite possibly. I think that you're looking at Joe Shane and Brian Dable, who need to save their jobs. We have a decimated quarterback room. We have nobody really now. I mean, I'm hoping that, my boy Tim Boyle gets re-signed to be part of that quarterback room. And other than that, who else are we going to have? We got to go get somebody and someone who we know we can rely on and win. We just talked about the doubts in the quarterback of the top quarterbacks coming out in the draft. This, to me, if you're going to try to win, he's still got life in him. He's looking for $50 million a year, guys. That means he's looking to win and be a staple, not someone who's going to be like a bridge quarterback. He's trying to be the guy still. And honestly, I still think he can. He still can sling it. If you bring him over here and we continue and we can find a way to protect him with weapons, I think he can do great things. I love this fit for the New York Giants. And I've seen other things where like Giants give a 2 and a 3 and then like another draft pick for next year and they get him and Cooper Kupp. I mean, like, think about the changes that could happen to that offense if you bring in these types of players. So I would like him here. I was actually thinking about it and like, where else would he go? The Raiders, maybe. The Steelers, maybe. I just find the most intrigued with the New York Giants. What are your thoughts?
So I have one pushback in terms of whether he would go to the Giants. I was listening to something earlier that said all his career he's kind of played within a dome. So I don't know if he'd be willing to go to the Northeast and play in that kind of weather. Huh?
SoFi's the dome?
That's what I heard earlier. I heard all his career he's played in a dome. Yeah.
I don't know if it might be.
Is it a dome? I mean, that's what they were saying. I don't know how true that is.
It's in LA.
Right?
It's in LA.
It's not a dome, but it's got. I think it's got like. I know what you're talking about.
It's like a partial dome, right? It's like
it's not a dome.
Half open, half closed.
Sort of like.
But you can control.
Yeah.
You know, like weather. Like weather wouldn't be a factor if you have that capability. You know.
I mean, it's not a dome, but it's LA, so the weather is amazing.
Yeah.
So
I hear that, but my only rebut to that is he played in Detroit where there was a dome, but he had 6 divisional games. No, that's true because Minnesota's a dome. But so he had 4 divisional games in the cold.
Okay.
So all right.
So that and if he wants to win right now, that's my only
biggest
thing
problem.
Because
my biggest problem is he might be okay. Like I feel like when you become more of a veteran player, you want to win right now. But he also got a Super Bowl. So does he just want the money? I think that's where the issue becomes.
Right. That's where I'm coming in at. Yeah.
And I think the problem is that he
made a statement.
Money.
He wants $50 million plus a year.
Yeah, and I'm not saying that he's not worth that money. I still think he can play. I know the quarterback salary is on a whole nother level. He would fall into that category if you're comparing, contracts. But my worry is, I think in terms of, we're really focusing on him with the New York Giants. But, looking at other teams, I mean, the last thing I'll say about the New York Giants is that it's going to take them, from what I've heard of the rumors, a lot of draft capital. The Rams initially said they wanted a first rounder. Now they're saying a second and a third. Like, I think it's a lot for you don't know what the future holds with, is he going to retire in 2 years? Like you just traded away part of your rebuild for 2 years. I don't know. Like, is it going to be longer than 2 years? I don't know. I think that my worry is that he comes to the New York Giants, the offensive line again doesn't get fixed, and he calls it quits earlier than some expect.
Yeah. Now, I am with you. I think there's 2 reasons why he could choose the Giants. I have so much in my head, so I'm going to try to get it all out.
Yeah, go. I love this.
The first one is
quarterback
money.
Coach?
No, money. You guys can offer him that. The second reason is, I think, like you were alluding to it, I think Brian Daboll is a really good coach that just never got the opportunity to have success with a really good quarterback. I think that could be a perfect marriage, and he needs to win now. Like, he needed to win yesterday, and unfortunately, 100%. He wasn't able to do that with Daniel Jones. So I think if I'm him and knowing my job's on the line, hey, get me a seasoned, good quarterback, and he's the only valid one on the market. So I could see Giants putting all their eggs in one basket to try to make that move. What do you guys think to that?
Yeah, and like the other thing is this: Chad Hall is the new quarterbacks coach for the New York Giants. I think we mentioned this on a previous show briefly. Chad Hall is the brother of Matthew Stafford's wife, so that's a family connection. They just brought him in. It's almost like they're trying to force the hand of, we want him to become a New York Giant. And you hit it spot on. Brian Daboll needs to figure it out, and he needs to figure it out fast.
And it's not a rookie quarterback.
They're done.
Yeah, they need a veteran.
That's what I think. That's what I think. You bringing away these rookie quarterbacks ain't going to be that answer. There's no Jaden Daniels.
I do think Matthew Stafford is the best available veteran quarterback between trading or free agent.
Oh, agreed.
However, I just think it's really tough if you can't guarantee someone to not retire. You know what I mean? I'm worried about the frustration in trading.
But there's been no talks of him retiring, though. That's the thing. Like, if this was an Aaron Rodgers thing where it's like, oh, maybe, and he's, there hasn't been any talks of it. I mean, there's no talks of Russell Wilson retiring, right? And they're all around that same age. I I hear what you're saying, but I'm not as concerned about that.
No, me neither.
Yeah.
Brian Dable just needs to happen so he can buy himself time, honestly, and then
Joe Shane.
and Joe Shane, and find his replacement. That's what he needs. He needs to find who his replacement quarterback was going to be, so it helps buy time. I do want to say something real quick before, because I know we don't have a lot of time on this segment, but I wanted to mention, if staying in proximity close to home is important to Matthew Stafford, I think Oakland's in huge play there, knowing Tom Brady's influence on the organization.
Yeah.
If he wants to win now, I think San Fran, right? I'd make that trade in a heartbeat. Because
there's no way the Rams are going to trade in the division, but yes.
Yeah, but if that's what he's alluding to, like, or I saw something that said, don't rule out the Dolphins.
Yeah. That would be so exciting.
I was like, that is very interesting. I want to hear what you guys think about it. Listen, if they got Matthew Stafford, they're instantly contenders. So I'm curious to hear you guys see.
Absolutely. If they have Matthew Stafford, he is the type of arm that you need in that offense. He will sling that thing. Like, it will be very exciting. I don't think he'll go to the 49ers because the front office in LA, they're not stupid. So that would be really, really dumb if they were to put him in the division. I think
see Raiders being another choice. I could see that. It just depends, again, the Raiders.
Yeah.
I could see that. It just depends on, again, draft, if they're willing to. Listen, I hope he becomes a New York Giant. I'm not saying that I don't want that. I'm just saying Rams need to become a little bit more realistic with.
I think that not from the Los Angeles Rams perspective per se, but from the Raiders and the Giants, both of these teams are in dire need of a quarterback. And
Giants even more.
I agree. No, Giants even more. So if you're not in love with one of these guys, you need full conviction in one of these rookie quarterbacks. If you don't have one, you draft one and they don't perform quickly, it doesn't matter what else they do for the rest of the year because the rest of their career, because this front office and this coaching staff, they're all gone. So by you going after a Matthew Stafford that you're going to be winning games, you show progress. You just bought yourself more time to go find his successor in the future, and you bought yourself more time with the organization. So I don't see why you don't go after a Matthew Stafford. So, and I think that with the Raiders, it buys them time before having to find another future quarterback. But new GM, new head coach, they're not in as dire need to save their jobs like the New York Giants are.
Yeah, I agree. Do you think, I know your answer. I think I know your answer, but do you think that if the Giants do make a deal for Matthew Stafford and also for you, MJB, just out of curiosity, here from not a Giants fan perspective, actually, I'll start with you on this one. Do you think the Giants would still look to draft a quarterback at the third spot between Cam Ward and Shedeur Sanders to have him sit behind a veteran and grow?
No. Only reason I say that is because what you're going to give up, if you get in Matthew Stafford, you're trying to win immediately.
Yep. Thank you.
And there's no way you can trade draft capital and then use your next draft capital on a quarterback.
Completely agree.
Packers, right?
Yeah.
Unless you're the Packers.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's no way you do that, because if you're trading for Matthew Stafford, you're essentially saying, hey, I think that we can construct a roster that's ready to compete right now. And in order to do that, I need every available asset I can get outside of that trade to help improve the team.
Bro, I already know what I'm doing if I'm the New York Giants. If I get Matthew Stafford, I'm taking that first phone call from the New York Jets and I'm trading back just a few spots, collecting more draft capital that I just got rid of, go back a couple spots, and now I can draft multiple people just so that way they can go up there and get their quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
Or with the Oakland Raiders. Both are in the top 10 trying to trade up, right, to get their quarterback. If I got Matthew Stafford, I'm just going to collect more draft capital and just sit back just a few spots. And those few spots are going to cost those teams dearly because the Giants are going to be able to wager whatever they want because they're coming up for their freaking quarterback. So
And
I'm already getting hyped. I'm like, we got to do this. Let's go.
Yeah, I know. The
and
more I
if you don't
talk
use
about it,
those
the more I
picks,
want
you
it to
can
happen.
you can kind of compile those, continue trading back, stockpile for next year, and if you have your guy next year, use
This
the
is a
same
very
picks
weak
to trade
draft,
up.
guys.
Yeah,
A very weak draft. Not a lot of blue
Yeah.
chips.
Hold out
Yeah.
for Arch Manning. All right, moving on to another quarterback here. We've been on the segment for a little while. Kind of want to know your thoughts on. We'll stay in the same realm of veteran quarterbacks that are trade prospects. What's your thought on Kirk Cousins? I think I started with MJB before, so Mike, let's hear your start on Kirk Cousins.
I think that it is a very intriguing trade because his value right now is very low. If you think about the cost to get him, I mean, is very low. His contract is very high. His contract is very high, and teams know that you already moved on from him, and you're already with your rookie quarterback and Michael Penix. So how is the Falcons have no leverage other than the other teams that are inquiring for him? Like they have no leverage to try to be like, no, he's worth more. It's like, dude, I'm absorbing an insane contract, and he's not even your starting quarterback anymore. So I think that he's it's very, very intriguing. I think a team like the Pittsburgh Steelers, if they don't go back to Russell Wilson, I think a team like maybe the Oakland Raiders, like we had mentioned, but honestly, where I think he's the best fit,
Waiting for it.
That's tough, man.
it won't happen. That's the problem. Where I think he could shine.
Well, let's hear it.
You put him back in you keep him in a dome, like he's in now, like he was in Minnesota, and you send him over to New Orleans. But he's not going to get sold there because he's in the division, and I don't see that happening.
So,
because Derek Carr's contract. Sorry to have to cut you off. Derek Carr's contract right now is insane. Okay, him and Cam Jordan are so high up against the cap that I think it's by like March 13th they have to basically release Derek Carr. Otherwise, they're absorbing like so much money. I forget the numbers. I looked at it the other day. So much money against the cap that they're like, you know what? We're going to release him. We're going to trade for Kirk Cousins. I think you just upgraded the quarterback position, and the money is not that much different, and you can backload some of that on the back end of the contract. So if Kirk Cousins' contract is more heavy in the bottom back 2 years, or if you restructure that contract so it's heavier in the back 2 years, it doesn't hurt the cap this year, and you see what he can do for you. So I think it's an interesting thing, but if I'm Kirk Cousins, I wouldn't want that. I don't even the Saints is that's an interesting team right now. I don't know what the hell's going on with them. They have some pieces, they can't win. Coaching, thank God they just gutted the whole thing. I don't know. I want to know MJB's opinion on this.
Yeah, MJB, what is your opinion?
I know.
The contract's the problem.
That's
the problem. Like I'm thinking of all these teams, but what I want to know, what I want to know is if he gets traded, I'm sure Atlanta is still going to be paying part, if not maybe more than half. So that might be an incentive for at least a year. A lot of the times that happens.
I think it's in a scenario where it's going to be, if he is moved, man, all parties have to agree that that contract's being reconstructed in order to make it done. That means Kirk Cousins.
There's no way Kirk is going to accept that because he's got so much guaranteed money. It doesn't pay for him to do that at his age.
So it doesn't. But it depends on if he wants to play. Like if he feels like, you know what, I can still compete, take less, and go somewhere. It's not out of the realm for him to think that way, right? Like so, it's really that if he thinks that he can compete, I think that
he's a no trade clause too.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He would have to have a say in it. He would have to be like, I renege everything. I want to, reconstruct. If not, I'm not gonna lie to you. If not, I don't have a team for you because I don't think that no one wants that, dude. You had that gruesome injury. You're getting paid all this money. Yeah, if I trade for you, sure, but like I don't even know what I'm getting to pay you that. No way. So I think that he ends up back on the Falcons, man.
Bro.
unless all parties decide to restructure a lot of things.
And I'm looking at everything right now. Everything that I'm saying, he's got the best agent, dude. It's everything saying like there is no way he should agree to waive his no trade clause because there's no way he can make more. There's no way he can make more money than what he's making now. Yeah, so if he were to restructure anything, normally how restructured deals go, they backload money and then you'll make more money at the back end. It's all guaranteed. So if they're doing anything that's going to restructure, that might mean that could change his guarantees, which means there's only risk of losing money, not gaining money. So for him, it's a no-brainer. He just sits there. You want to trade me? Well, if I like the team, great. If not, okay, they got to accept everything. Like he's in the perfect scenario.
What I think they should do, don't call me crazy. Offseason comes around. You have a quarterback competition. We all know after you're removed from an injury, you're ready to actually perform.
I completely agree.
You make it a quarterback competition. If he wins it, you give it to him and you trade Michael Penix. You trade Michael Penix in a weak draft class, right? What do you guys think about that? You do a QB competition. If he wins, you do a QB competition. If he wins, you trade Michael Penix in a weak draft class.
He already lost. He already lost.
Yeah, but they have no leverage. You have to. There's no way you're going to go into the offseason saying, all right, well, we didn't have any trade partners, so if we're going to keep him, he's going to be our $50 million backup. There's no way. You're going to have to have a QB competition.
I don't know what the contract I don't know. I mean, it's like Deshaun Watson all over again with the Cleveland Browns, right?
Right. And where is he?
Look where he is. He's still on the team.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying with Kirk.
I'm telling you, that's what I'm saying, Kirk. 2. So I think.
But the only way you would get anything back from any other team would be to trade Michael Penix. You're not going to get anything for Kirk Cousins.
Which I don't think they're going to do that either. Because if you spend your 8th overall pick in the draft, and then you bench the man that you just gave a 4-year guaranteed contract to, you just signed him and you bench him for this guy. I'm telling you, they're making Penix their guy, and his credit, he looked pretty good.
No, he did.
Okay,
he did.
So
they're screwed. Get out of the situation. I don't see how you get out of the situation. That's why I think he ends up back in Atlanta. He ends up back in Atlanta, back at it again.
Yeah, but I do agree with you in the idea that they should compete this year.
Yeah, the only other team that I could see trying to do something would be the Browns. I don't have it figured out in my head, but Kevin Stefanski was the coach on the Vikings when Kirk Cousins was the quarterback on the Vikings, and they could reunite in Cleveland.
Maybe they trade Deshaun Watson there.
The problem is they're about to have $1 billion in their quarterback room.
Deshaun Watson would have to retire.
Bro.
Willingly.
Bro. Yeah. Fall off the face of the earth.
Just end up on Pluto or something, because that's
because there's no
only way this can happen.
No
but
way,
I did think about that, Chris. If this contract was an issue, I did see Cleveland as a destination, but because I know that guy's still on the roster, there's no way, no how, bruh.
I think, and speaking of Cleveland, they're going quarterback at number 2.
Oh, 1,000%.
I think
that's all you can do. There's nothing else you can do.
Yeah, and I think Shador will deny it, which means I think if Cam Ward doesn't go the number 1 overall pick, whether it's with the Titans or someone trades up ahead of the Browns, I think Cam Ward is a Cleveland Brown. Move on.
All right.
We'll get to that in our mocks.
Let's pivot to another quarterback. So we just focused on 2 veteran quarterbacks for trading. We're going to pivot to free agent quarterbacks. Technically, Russell Wilson is entering free agency. Technically, I don't really think he's going anywhere, but what's your stance on this? MJB, take it away.
So it's hard, man, because I think that if I'm the Steelers, I keep Russell Wilson, man. I keep
Yeah, I
Russell
mean, I think
Wilson.
that's
I
a
get
no-brainer. I think
him
it's a
some
no-brainer.
surefire weapons at receiver because my goodness, George Pickens, I love you, but Mr. Inconsistent. One
Oh
game
my
you have
God,
150,
yeah.
next
Oh.
game you have 12 yards.
Oh, it's so
Who is
painful.
it? They're putting
I'll
the
never
APV up
forget
for
the
this
game I
guy.
bet on him last year,
Yeah,
and he had
4
like
drops,
5 drops. All I
yeah,
needed
5
was like
drops.
4 receptions, and I
Yeah.
couldn't believe
Weren't we
it.
watching that game together?
Yeah, we were.
It was so bad.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
it was
for
so
that reason
bad.
alone, I think you keep Russell. You get a bona fide number one, and you kind of go from there. If I'm the Steelers, I'm trying to bring in a wide receiver,
Yeah,
whether
and I
that's through the
actually
draft
want
or
to take
free
it.
agent.
I
I want
completely
to take
agree.
it from a different perspective. I want to take it from Russell Wilson's perspective because he had success in Seattle. He had a very, I don't even know what you want to call it with the Broncos.
Yeah, the Broncos is weird.
A very weird scenario with the Broncos that obviously didn't work out. He's not the Broncos quarterback. And then he goes to the Steelers, who, in my opinion, most likely reignites his career. So he, in my opinion, needs to figure out any which way possible to stay a Steeler if he wants to keep the longevity of being a franchise quarterback.
Yeah,
I think it's
if I'm him, I stay. I know
yeah.
the offense.
yeah.
I'm taking maybe slightly a little bit less money to stay. Is my point.
Yeah,
Like if I'm him, I'm trying to stay in every way.
I
possible.
agree.
You bring up a good point. That's the point I wanted to bring up. I don't think he is in any place to ask for a lot of money. He got paid. He got paid big from the Broncos and did nothing, and then continued to get paid. He got signed for like what was it? Like $1 on the Steelers because then all the
They
money
just-
came. All the money
I
came
don't
from the
know what-
Broncos last year. So it was like
the Broncos were paying him to be a Steeler. basically.
right. So now he has to sign another contract, and now this contract is going to be based off of his most recent performance. And guys, he hasn't been the Russell Wilson that that has won big games and was the comeback guy and all this stuff since he was on Seattle. It's been years.
Yeah,
It's
but
been years. So
but
I just think you're going to get him cheap.
I don't think so, man.
No,
I don't think so. Every year in free agency, dude, whoever's available, they dictate the market.
there's no way he's resetting the market, bro.
No, I'm not
No,
saying resetting it, but if you start seeing guys like A-Rod go here and he's getting 25, 30 mil a year, I'm going to the Steelers. Hey,
Oh no, he's
Yeah.
getting more than that.
this
He's
guy,
getting more than that.
I gotta get
He's getting more than
more than him. Like, so I think that's going to play into effect for him because he's not competing with, a hard stone quarterback.
I think he'll set the. I
think
think
he'll
he'll
still
set the
have
free
the
agency market. He's not setting the quarterback market.
Yeah, he
but
won't
I think
reset the
he'll
market, but I think he'll get a. I
set
think
the
he's going to
free
get a.
agency
Yeah,
market.
I think he's going to get a good deal because there's not a lot out there, man.
No, I know. You're right.
Yeah,
You're right.
unfortunately.
and
You're right.
this is the
Yeah.
best success that.
I'm only signing him to a 1-year deal, though.
No, I don't think he's going to do that.
You want to extend him for multiple years?
I mean, I'm not saying 4 or 5, but I think at least
2 at the max, bro.
If I'm with the Steelers, it has to be multiple.
It has
I
to
can't
be
do
multiple.
another-
You
I
just
can't do
tried him
another
out
one.
for a year.
Yeah, you just
What
asked
are we
me for a
doing?
year.
What are we doing?
We're still in
What are
the
we
honeymoon.
doing? Sign him out again?
We're still in the
No.
dating phase, man. Do you want me or
Yeah.
not?
My whole thing is like, I'm signing Russell Wilson because he's the best of a bad situation, not because I think he's going to bring me to the promised land.
But is he though?
But if you're the
Is he, though?
Steelers, Mike,
Look at
are
how
you
much
re-signing
better
him
he
again for
carried
1
the
year?
Steelers versus Justin Fields.
I gave him a 2-year deal.
He always hates him. That's the problem. He just doesn't like him.
Fine.
Dos
too.
años, okay? Dos años. That's all you're getting
Starter.
from Mikey B. That's it. That's it. Listen, I'm being real. I'm being real. Like the NFL. Yeah, well, so if I'm an NFL team, I can do that. I can sign you to a 3-year deal. I'm going to backload the majority of your money to years 2 and 3, and it's not guaranteed. If he signs that, great. Then I'll sign him to that 3-year deal. It's the same thing as me saying I'm going to sign you for a 2-year deal, and then if
I
you do good,
think
then I'm going to
he's
resign
going to
him.
take less money for a more guaranteed situation. He's not going to be like 50 plus.
I just don't
million.
know if
That's
I want to
crazy.
commit to
No.
that with him. I'm
But-
being real. Like I don't, because honestly, if I'm the Steelers, I'm not even kidding you. I sign Russell Wilson, bro. If a guy like Jackson Dart or one of these other guys is in the second round.
I love that.
Or I trade back and I'm taking him, which means that
I love that.
I'm not saying not to do that.
But if Jackson Dart balls and he takes his listen, we saw the most unthinkable. Kirk Cousins was replaced by Mike Penix in year one, which makes no sense, but it happened. So I'm saying in year two, Jackson Dart outplays Russell Wilson. I don't want to be locked into Russell Wilson at big money into year three. I just don't want to do it. I don't see him being that guy. So for me, I agree. I think that the best landing spot for him is the Steelers, but I am, unless if I'm doing what we said and I'm signing to a 3-year deal, and then in that 3-year deal, I'm backloading the money and it's not guaranteed. And then if he's playing great and I want him, I'll keep him. If not, and he gets outperformed by one of those quarterbacks that I bring in coming out of the draft. You disagree.
But let me ask you. No, but let me ask you. You just admittedly said that Russell the lack of wide receiver played a part in why the Steelers didn't perform better, right? Like, so that means, in your opinion, you think Russell had a decent year to warrant him to be back with the Steelers for a decent contract? No, like
it warrants it, but it's based off of who's available. Okay, he's the best of a worst case scenario. Okay, like I'm looking at the
situation to be in.
I'm looking at the pool, and there's not much to pick from, bro.
Okay, but so let's go off your point. Okay, let's just go off your point. Best decision in a bad scenario. Let's say they don't sign Russell Wilson.
No, I think they should sign him.
No. I'm just saying. So then that's the flip side, right? So now Russell Wilson, he's got somewhat of a bargain now.
Like that's what I'm coming. What if they don't sign him? Russell, then who? That's what I'm saying in the negotiation. Then who? Who else you're going to take?
I'm not saying not to sign him.
Aaron Rodgers?
No, I'm not saying not to sign him. I'm saying you sign him, but I'm not signing him to a long-term deal. Do you think that another team's going to come in there and offer him a big deal and take him away from the Steelers? I just don't think so.
No, the only other one is if
that's what I'm saying. So if another team is not going to do it, then why am I going to just throw a big contract at this guy when I know what the market is telling me, that the market's not saying that other teams are going to come in, swoop him up we're signing you for a 4-year, $40 million a year deal.
This is what it's going to be.
It's
going to be similar type of deal, maybe less money. I'm going to go off and even say less money, but it's going to be a similar type of deal. Now, before you jump down my throat, let me finish. Like the Giants with Daniel Jones. Why? The Giants had Daniel Jones structured to a 4-year deal. Whether everybody wants to hate what the Giants did, they already had this plan. 2 years, his salary was 40-ish plus million a year, right? Let's call it 47. He was guaranteed $82 million in his contract. 2 years goes by, he's basically already got that guaranteed money. He played for 2 years, and they were able to cut him, and now they're not exactly worrying about expenses. Keep going. I think it's going to play the same type of scenario with Russell Wilson. All his guaranteed money is going to have to equate to what he would make in like a 1 or 2 year combine, and then they can let him go.
So I can get on board with that. I don't want to be locked in long term because I know that he's not my long-term solution.
No, I agree. I honestly would give him a contract similar to Baker Mayfield. Okay. He didn't reset the market, but it was a fair contract. He got a little over 30 mil a year. You know, quarterbacks are getting almost 45, 50 now. So that's a fair deal.
Yeah.
How many years on that contract though?
It's 3 year, 100 mil.
Yeah, I guess.
It's absurd. It's like 100 million. Like I'm drinking water. It's
So if you're the Steelers, Mike, you're not giving him 3 year, 100 mil.
Dude, that's a struggle.
You're gonna pay him $20-something million. Oh, I'm gonna just rip that thing. When these guys are getting 50, you're gonna give me $20-something million, bro. Like,
I think okay. So then we're getting closer to my point with the DJ deal. You give Russell Wilson, Baker Mayfield's making 33. Let's round it up. You give Russell Wilson 35 for 2 years. All that money is guaranteed. I mean, not all of it, but you get
what I'm saying. There's a 2 year contract, though. That's what I said. I was okay with a 2 year contract.
Yeah, but even if you give him
that's what I said. I said before. Sure, like let you
even
get
if you give
contract and then you can move on.
contract, even if you give him a 3-year contract, you're just guaranteeing 60 to 70 million, which is what he would make in the first 2 years. And
And I'm fine with that. If I can get out
Yeah,
after 2 years,
it's
then
going to be
okay.
similar like DJ.
Then
I'm sure that's what the contract would look like.
Then I'm okay with that. Then I am totally fine with that. Totally fine with that.
I'm just saying that this year compared to others, he probably wouldn't get that, but because it is this year, he probably could bargain for a 3-year deal.
Yeah, because again, he's the best of a bad scenario.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, I'm signing him because he's the best I got, not because I think he's going to be the guy. All right, you know what I mean? Like, that's why we're going to go and trade for Matthew Stafford. Okay,
he's your best chance for current success. So they're going to be saying something. So,
that's funny. Hey, I don't really like you, but because I don't have anyone else, man. This is like the dating situation in 2025. It's like, well, there's not much better out there. You've been good to me these last few months. Let's roll with it.
Well, now that we're on the topic, let's pivot a little bit with now that we beat this up so much. We're on the topic of Steelers. Let's just go into Justin Fields.
Man,
MJB, take it away. What do you got?
I got to look at some teams. Give me a second, dude, because.
So,
Mike, who you got? I already know who you got, actually. But
here's the issue I have with Justin Fields, that he wants a starting job. Honestly, I don't think he's going to get one. I really don't. I don't know.
I mean, it's definitely not guaranteed. I don't know what world he's
I'm saying
on. He's going to be competing.
I think teams like, God, stuff. I had mentioned, I think in the past, I mentioned the Colts.
Yeah, me too. I think it's the best because
I think the Colts is a really good scenario for him.
Anthony Richardson.
Yeah, I like that a lot. That's where I want him. That's it's an interesting one where he might get a lot of playing time that I think we have not discussed in our previous shows. There's a football team down south where, the entire organization is in shambles. They have
Miami.
a quarterback. They have a quarterback who was supposed to be the greatest quarterback to ever come out of college, has yet to produce, and he's always hurt.
Oh.
So if the Jacksonville Jaguars want to why not?
I actually like him better on Miami because of Tua's injury history. But I think that you use him.
Trevor Lawrence hasn't been able to play the full season the last 2 seasons either. I'm just saying, like, yes, I the thing is, I thought about it. We talked about Miami in the past. I thought about it more. I just don't know if he's gonna. He has not shown the success with his arm that I think we want to see down in Miami to be able to take advantage with that style of offense. So I know that they can rig up a lot of yak in that offense where he can do shorter passes and stuff, but they do air the ball out too, and I just don't know if he's gonna have the same success. So I don't know. It's a really good question.
I think he should take either a 1-year deal with the Cleveland Browns, bet on himself, and
outwin the starting job,
and see what you can do. Bet on yourself. At least you know it's a competition. You're not going there for the money, but you're going there for a chance to hopefully compete again. And you get some playing time, whether you stay the start of the entire season or it's half a season. At least you have enough to warrant your next contract.
You're building a resume for the next year.
Yeah, that's the only best scenario, because if you're not gonna be a starter anywhere, you can start to say this is the beginning of the end for Justin Fields.
Yeah, I agree.
Dude, that quarterback room though for the Cleveland Browns, that's busy. Deshaun Watson, you're gonna draft someone still too.
Well, where I agree with you, Chris. That's what I was gonna say. I don't think he signed. I agree. I don't think he signs with the team until after the NFL draft. I think.
1,000%.
Because
1,000%.
Because if he signs, if he wants to bet on himself, he can't make any guarantees until he knows what those quarterback rooms are going to look like. Like Christopher just alluded to, if the Cleveland Browns draft a quarterback at number 2 overall, I'm not signing with the Cleveland Browns if I'm Justin Fields. If they don't, I am having my agent call them up the very next day.
Or even or even Oakland, man.
Yeah, but same concept, right? That's a team that there's talk of them trading up to the number 1 spot with the Titans for Shador Sanders.
Yeah, I guess
So
I just don't think Justin Fields.
The only thing that works in Oakland's favor is Todd McShay has his own show now, and he was saying that Brady strongly believes in sitting a rookie quarterback.
Well, you want learning from Justin Fields though? If that's the case, bring in A-Rod, bring in Rodgers.
Yeah, I was gonna say
let Brady go to the room. So
yeah, bro. Nah, if he would do it, he would stay the starter. I still believe that. They found their future quarterback if he comes back out of retirement. You know what I mean?
Well, all right. So we've mentioned his name plenty. What is Aaron Rodgers' future?
This is a good one to wrap up on. I like this.
I got one more. One more that we have to talk about. Aaron Rodgers and one more. MJB, what are you thinking? You're in deep thought right now.
No, because it's something we said before. I do think, believe it or not, I think Aaron Rodgers, wherever he goes, he's gonna have a better season than he did last season. I strongly believe that because now he's gonna
because the
have a full offseason under his belt. Yeah, I think that he's gonna have a much better
where
season.
I think he could go and really sling it? The Rams. I mean, they got Jimmy Garoppolo on their depth chart. If they trade away Matthew Stafford, Aaron Rodgers just goes to town. I mean, he wants to sit. He wants a team.
He's going to the Vikings.
It's also very possible.
There's no reason why he does not. Favre went to the Jets. He did not do well. He goes to the Vikings. He does phenomenal. He didn't do well with the Jets. He go to the Vikings, and the Vikings have weapons.
Yeah, I mean the Vikings.
The tight end is top 5 in the league.
Everything.
Wide receivers, top 5 in the league.
Yeah.
Offensive line isn't bad. They don't forget their starting tackle was hurt. Then they traded, and then they got Cam Robinson. So they got 2 good tackles. Like they have a team. Quarterbacks coach.
I don't disagree. I mean, I think it's a group.
If I'm Aaron Rodgers, my agent is calling them up every second. Like as soon as they can start negotiations in the new season, I'm calling up the Minnesota Vikings, and I'm going to go there, and then I'm going to to the Packers. All right.
In this scenario, obviously the Vikings have JJ McCarthy. I'm just curious your thoughts. They try to bring in a veteran. Let's call Aaron Rodgers. We all know DJ is with them. Do you try to keep DJ?
Well, what's Sam Darnold doing?
Well, if you're bringing in another veteran and you're not keeping Sam Darnold,
if I'm bringing in Aaron Rodgers, why do I need DJ? Is he still playing safety on the practice squad? Because I don't understand why he's on the team. I'm just saying because like if I'm bringing in Aaron Rodgers, why am I keeping DJ? I wouldn't keep him because I have JJ McCarthy who's the future.
I think keeping DJ is only an insurance policy if JJ McCarthy doesn't work out to have another guy.
But
I let him go.
You're DJ, you signed a 1-year deal. So you're a free agent again. Am I going to sign with a team?
I think he wants to be back there.
As a third string? Dude,
maybe in his eyes he's not a third string.
The DJ, he may not be the starter right now for a team, but I don't believe that he's a third string quarterback in this league.
No. My point is that he believes in himself and can outdo.
He's going to the Miami Dolphins, bro.
That's what I think is the best fit for Daniel Jones. Personally,
I think that's a great fit for Daniel Jones.
Phenomenal fit for Daniel Jones.
Yeah, he goes, healthy. That's my favorite landing spot for him.
He goes to the Miami Dolphins or he goes to the San Francisco 49ers. I think he'll flourish in both of those Dolphins. In both of those offenses as a backup.
Yep.
Dude, those 2 spots are the best spots. If you're a quarterback, man, those are the 2 spots you're trying to go to. The Dolphins or the Vikings, dude. Like
those Vikings, yeah.
Their rosters are ready to go. They just need a QB.
Is the clear best spot.
Oh, for sure.
Like, and I agree with you. Aaron Rodgers is such a good fit there. I mean, he really is.
He's a fantastic fit. I just don't see why he wouldn't go anywhere else. Like,
yeah, we've got.
The thing is, you have JJ McCarthy. So if you bring in Aaron Rodgers, At least you have a veteran presence to coach him up.
No, I agree.
If Aaron Rodgers doesn't go, Aaron Rodgers does not have the leverage that he had when he went to the New York Jets to want all these pieces anymore. So Aaron Rodgers goes there. You're getting Aaron Rodgers, and you're not getting, oh, I want this and that. Like, no, that's not part of the agreement here, Aaron.
Yeah. Oh yeah, yeah. No, that's not happening again. He had his chance with that.
Yeah.
But I want to wrap this up with one of our favorites, famous Jameis. What do we think about him?
Believe it or not, I think the options are endless for Jameis. I think that every 32 team should be wanting to get this guy. I strongly believe that because I think he's a quality backup. He's a phenomenal backup, and he can be a quality starter for any organization. I don't think there's many backup QBs that can touch Jameis. So all 32, please.
Oh my God.
I love it.
I'm actually intrigued by two teams. You mentioned Trevor Lawrence earlier. I'm interested in bringing him, and they got a new head coach. He might be able to push Trevor Lawrence
Down in Jacksonville?
Yeah, down in Jacksonville. I think I don't know if he himself would want to go there, but I think it could be an interesting move, or even the Raiders.
Yeah. I know I keep on giving the same answers. If the Giants do not sign Matthew Stafford and they draft a
he's
quarterback,
he's the next best. I agree with that.
He's got the New York Giants need to, and he already said it. I want to play. He said it when Saquon. He's like, Saquon, where should I go? And Saquon was like, I heard there's a team in New York that needs a quarterback. And he's like, well, which one? Because they both need one. and then Saquon started laughing. He's like, the New York Giants. He goes, I would love to play for the Giants. I think that would be such a fun fit. It would make the Giants a fun team to watch. And then if the Giants do go for Stafford, Miami.
So then, Mike, if
he's gonna sling that ball, dude.
Yeah, that's where I was going. That's where I
Miami.
The first option.
Miami.
If
no, that should be his first option. It should be the first. It should be the first option. But
if he goes to the Giants, do you draft a quarterback?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
But I'm going to make Jameis my starter.
Oh, for sure. But okay.
And he's the starter until he's not the starter. If you know what I mean. Give him the opportunity. It's his job to lose.
Yeah.
Because the thing is that Jameis, he's signing as a starting quarterback. If you go to the New York Giants, they have nobody right now on. They literally don't have. Even I said I really hope that they re-sign Tim. He's not even on the roster right now.
There's absolutely no question that the Giants need to sign a veteran. There's no question.
So
whether depending on what veteran you sign and what deal you're getting, you're either drafting or not drafting.
Right.
An additional quarterback.
For Jameis, I'm signing and saying, if I'm going to New York and they didn't bring in Stafford, I'm actually going to be a starter. If I sign with the Dolphins, I'm not the starter, but I'm definitely the next best thing. So it's like, if I go to the Dolphins and Tua goes down, they can still compete. I mean,
I like it.
If the Dolphins don't sign a big time quarterback at backup this year, I don't even think I can watch Miami football. Yeah. It was so difficult to watch because if Tua's not on the field, they can't even compete. They can't move the football. They look like the New York Giants.
Yeah.
It's bad.
It's funny. It's funny. I'm laughing because whenever I think of Jameis Winston, it's like that kid, man, that like you don't even know what to say to him when he has a good game, and you don't know what to say when he has a bad game. It's like you'll get one of both every time, and it's like, but he means well. So it's like you just roll with it.
Just a great.
Well, that's kind of where I was going when you said it's his job to lose. I mean, the problem with Jameis Winston is you don't know what you're getting at from him week to week.
He can't.
I know. I know. I think if he's consistently losing, and then your rookie is showing promise, then that's when he loses the job. But I mean, listen, I can't imagine that morale has been great at the New York Giants. This is a locker room guy. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, no, that he is.
That is a locker room guy. All
That
right.
he is. That he is.
You know, and every single time you hear other players talking about, like, yeah, Jameis, he's interesting. He's Jameis, but we love him. It's just like he just is.
Unapologetically himself, man.
And we all love him for it. So, but no, this is good. A great discussion this evening. I thought that there was a lot of good debate, a lot to be seen. We have a lot of different moving pieces that we talked about that as soon as the new year starts, it's going to begin to unfold. So that's going to wrap up the show for this evening. Tune in next week for the NFL Combine recap, as well as another Docs on the Spot where CJ, the sports enthusiast, will be hosting as he puts Dr. MJB, the legend, and myself to a test. But until then, we hope everyone enjoyed this evening's show. I want to thank you for CJ, the sports enthusiast, Dr. MJB, the legend. I'm Dr. Mikey B. This is the Doc Huddle. See you next week.